Overthinking is an art. It's the art of creating problems that do not exist. And it's one of the most destructive and common habits that people have. I overthink like crazy. I'm honestly one of the biggest overthinkers that you would probably ever meet. And what makes overthinking very destructive is that it makes you feel like you're being productive and you know preparing yourself or like you're thinking things through properly, but you're actually not. You're more or less just scaring yourself out of doing anything whatsoever. So what exactly is overthinking? Well, as the name suggests, it's over, so too much thinking. You're thinking about something. You're thinking too much about something. It's essentially creating problems that do not exist yet and very likely will not exist in the future. And a lot of times when people overthink, people think about the worst case scenario possible. I know I do. Anytime I overthink, I just think of literally the worst possible thing that could happen in the current situation that I'm in. And it's a very destructive habit because it destroys your mental and you get caught up living in your head a lot rather than
Yeah, I mean, overthinking can come in like a lot of different ways. Some people, when they overthink, this is coming from experience. It's like, I've said this in one of my TikToks before, I think, that it's like when you overthink, you don't just like think too much and like drown in your thoughts. All like that's not all you do. You also just like you give yourself these different personas and shit, you know? Like you think of yourself different in different situations because you're not understanding like you just think too much and it just like completely destroys the way you go into every situation. You go into every situation as a different person with a different mindset because you've like tricked yourself into thinking all this shit, because that's what the brain is strongest at, adapting, bro. That's like what it's best at. It's best at adapting and changing and getting, and it does it so fast. That's why habits are so dangerous, because habits can go in every way. They can go in every, they can be the best thing for your life or the worst thing, and most of the time it's usually the worst. Like when you get addicted to scrolling, and the thing is when you get addicted to scrolling, you don't know it's a habit until it becomes a thing that people tell you about, and you're like, and you realize you can't go a second without it. You can't go a second without dopamine. You you do all these shitty things that become a habit, but it's like, what if like getting up, making your bed, and doing the best you can in the morning, first step of the day, was your habit? You know, like what if those things were habits? Like,
being present in the moment and living in real life. And the problem with overthinking is that it paralyzes you and stops you in your tracks. And the more that you think about something, the more that you will think about something. Overthinking will cause you to overthink more, right? If you're thinking too much about something, it'll make you think even more about that thing. So it will make everything way less clear. Thinking, you know, is supposed to help you make a decision, but overthinking does the exact opposite. It stops you from making a decision because you're busy just thinking about what decision to make, if that makes sense. Um and what you need to understand is that you are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are rather more or less just patterns that are developed over time that your brain has created as its because your brain has been with you since the day you were born and it knows you very well, correct? So you're a lot of times not controlling your thoughts, but more so just reacting to them or overthinking takes power over you. And an analogy that I want to give you is, um, you know how like in horror movies or like for example even in Scooby Doo, as corny as this may sound, when Scooby and Freddy are running away from the monster that they're chasing or whatever or trying to capture, um, when they're getting chased by him, a lot of times why do they get caught? Or I haven't watched Scooby Doo in a while, so correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of times why does the monster catch up to them? Because Scooby and Freddy get so, or no, not Freddy. Scooby and Shaggy get so scared, and, and they stop in their tracks to think about which path to take, which door to open, where to go, what to do, right? And that's when the monster catches them. Overthinking does the same thing. It stops you in your tracks, it paralyzes you, and it stops you from making a decision in the moment. Imagine if Scooby and Shaggy just made a decision and went through a certain door. No matter where it took them, at least it would have gotten them away from the.
Yeah, so I think about it sometimes, but I also just think that it's like sometimes you already know the decision you're gonna make. Like you know the decision you should make. You know the decision you want to make. You're gonna most likely enjoy in the future, and a lot of people they just they don't know what to do. They just like exactly what he's saying. They stop in their tracks. They don't know what to do, and they overthink the solution, and it ends up not working in their favor. And I mean, this can go in like so many different like forms and different ways. Like, so it matters the situation, but still, like, you can't just assume that every decision in your life is gonna get made for you. Like, you're gonna, bro. You can't. Okay, this is what I was trying to get at. You can't just overthink your whole life and not make any decisions on your own. And this is the worst thing that's for me. When you want to do something, you even if you start it, you've over you've like you've been overthinking for so long that just starting, because starting is the biggest problem for most people because of overthinking. So it's like, oh, when you just start and then you go for a little longer, but then it doesn't work out, and you start thinking about other things because you overthink everything so much, you burn yourself out and you give up because you overthink, you trick yourself into just getting out of it, and it's like, bro, you can't do that anymore. You already had enough problems just starting because of the overthinking, so don't like the decisions aren't gonna get made for you that are gonna make you successful. They're usually to make you average because those are just the decisions that they are making. Like people around you. Like you have, no matter what you think, you have full control in your life. No matter what you think, you've got full control of what you do with what you're handed. So yeah, you just take everything as you will and just do what you want. Don't care what other people think, because that's what you got. You got yourself. So it's like, choose your decisions wisely, yeah, but just it's fine. Just at least choose, bro.
Monster, right? Now they're forced to deal with the monster right in their face. That's an analogy that I wanted to. That's what I thought about. And when you're standing, there and you're thinking of every single possible opportunity, the moment passes and the opportunity passes. So the decision that you were too scared to make is now it might be too late to make that decision, if that makes sense. Um,
That's literally that's what I was literally just talking about. It's like all of a sudden, over time, it's gonna be too late. That's like that's what people always say, bro. Like they're like they're like, I wish I would have done this. Oh, I wish I would have known that time didn't move so damn fast. It's the people who they think they're smart So usually people that overthink are, okay, it's not always, but they're usually a little smarter, you know, people that overthink. They usually are a little smarter, but not always at all, not always, but um since they think that, they, at some level, this has happened to me too, they know like what they're doing is wrong to a degree, but they think it'll still somehow find its way to work out. But that's usually what ends up happening, is they don't do what they want to do. You know, like they just overthink it too much for too long, until they end up seeing everyone make the decisions for them, not do anything, and spend all their high school years just kind of like drifting through, overthinking, not really knowing where to start. But it's like the best time to start has already ended, so start now, bro. Like, just do it. It's like, for an analogy, it's kind of like when you're talking to your parents and you get in an argument, you think you're too smart for them. Sometimes it's better just to make the decision to just act stupid, because you're not always smarter than them. First of all, you're not always smarter than them, and even if you technically you thought you were in that argument, it doesn't matter, bro. It's your parents. It doesn't matter. Like, just, if you have to act stupid, just do it. Make the decision to make your life easier and move on. You know, like, that's the decisions these people have to make. You have to make the decision, you know?
And you might still be standing there overthinking it. So, overthinking is very destructive as well, because a lot of people do not realize what overthinking actually costs them. So, it costs them decisions that never actually get fulfilled or made, because people were stuck there overthinking every decision, so they never made a decision, right? Overthinking causes opportunities to pass while you were just thinking about them. For example, let's say, this is another example that I want to give. Let's say you were out at the mall with your friends, right? And you saw this good-looking girl and you wanted to talk to her, but your brain automatically resided to overthinking, as it normally does, and you're like, well, what if she says no? What if she calls me ugly? What if she rejects me? What if... And in all this time that you spent overthinking, she left. Her and her friends are gone. But what if you just went up to her and asked her, for a number, whatever the hell, rather than just standing there and overthinking? This...
Bro, and usually, when you end up, like, think about it, when you end up doing these things, you usually, like, love yourself for doing it. Like, when you make a decision, just do whatever, like, a good amount of the time, you'll be like, I'm just glad I did it. If you go up to her and she calls you ugly, not only are you not gonna, like, then you start overthinking, but if you just slow down and stop overthinking and just act, like, stupid for a second, bro, you'll realize not only you're probably not gonna see her again, second of all, it doesn't matter that much. You could get into a whole thing about how it doesn't matter. And third of all, like, be happy you did it, bro. Like, it's not, just be happy you went up to her. Like, you know, don't gotta be like sad about what happened. You can't change it now, so be happy that you even decided to do it. Because if you never do it, you're never gonna find
scenario
one.
could have been much more different, but in the time that you were there standing and thinking about every single thing that could go wrong and what she could say and what she thought of you, she left, right? And that's the hardest part about overthinking. It costs you a lot that you may not even realize in the moment, but until they've passed by. And this is what causes you to lose sleep at night as well, because your mind doesn't shut off and you're constantly just running on autopilot, thinking about all these thoughts that don't even deserve to have any weight in your life. And here's another thing. The worst part about overthinking is that you are unable to be fully present in the moment where you are and where you stand and overthink at the same time. Those two, overthinking and being present, they cannot simultaneously live together. They cannot coexist, right? Either you're present in the moment or you're overthinking. You can't just be both. at the same time. So think about how much time you spend living in your head rather than in the moment. That's something that I want you to think about. And another thing that I want you to think about, whenever next time you overthink something, ask yourself, how is this going to affect me in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year, in 10 years, right? If the answer is it's not going to affect me very much, then there's absolutely no reason for you to be overthinking about that. If you're not going to be thinking about that in a week's time, then there's no point of overthinking about it today, because in a week's time it will be gone. So what is the point of stressing yourself out?
Also, I realized that I think people, including me, well, so people like to think about like the butterfly effect. So it's like everything technically builds up and matters and leads to something. But yeah, that's true. But also, usually, if you just overthink everything, it'll just leave you down the path you just don't want. It's like, you know, and yes, you probably will not be thinking about 99% of the thing, 99.99999% of the things that happen even the day before.
And causing so much unnecessary um stress over something that holds so little value in your life, right? This is the philosophy that I go by. If something is not going to affect me whatsoever in even a week, month, year's time, then I don't spend time overthinking it. And why would you also, here's another thing. A lot of people overthink about stuff that they cannot control. But I find that extremely ironic, because if something is out of your control, why would you waste time, energy, right, overthinking it? If something is completely out of your control, you cannot physically do something about it, there's literally no point in overthinking that certain thing. It doesn't do anything for you, nor will it ever do anything for you. And I need to be honest, because overthinking is also something that affects me a ton. Like I said earlier, even when it comes to this channel, I've spent days not uploading because I was just thinking of the perfect video idea and going back and forth on what video to make, overthinking, the gameplay, the what am I going to say, the title, the thumbnail, the angle, and the amount of time that I've wasted when I could have just been making the video is absurd. I could have probably uploaded upwards of 5 more videos on this channel, but instead I just used that time to overthink them. And 9 times out of 10, the video that I overthought, I overthought making the video, whatever, turned out actually fine, and it did decently, good comments, whatever, right? And I was actually happy with the video. The thing that I was scared of, the video flopping or not being good enough, that's not happened, because that's just the reality of overthinking. The worst case scenario almost never comes to fruition. It never happens. The thing that gets built up in your brain into this massive problem is
Yeah, yeah. Usually it's all just built up in your head, but, different situations kind of affect this.
never as big as it really seems, and it's never
Yeah.
that big of a deal. What I need you to realize, almost nothing in life is ever that deep to be overthinking about it that much. Like I said earlier, if it won't affect you in a year's time, month's time, there's literally no point.
Bro, it's actually, like, funny thing about how, like, bro, I realized something, like, I used to feel, like, so alone on everything. In a sense, like, I was smart enough to know that other people felt similar. Like, they felt like the same way they felt alone too, in a way. They felt they were smart and they overthought a lot, but they couldn't really explain what they were saying. That is such a common thing, especially for teenagers with so much emotions going on in their head. Like, bro, I'm a young teenager and I just got hella emotions going on. And I guess I'm, like, smart or something too, so kind of not a good mix, but it just makes it hard to explain. Like, you can't explain what's going on in your head, but that's like the same with like everything, bro. I don't think you realize that's why so many people just do shit to fit in, because they feel good when they fit in and they don't know how to explain what they want, or they don't know how to get there anyway, so they just give up. and for the most part just do what other people do to fit in. And yes, that's pretty much why most people do it. They just, they don't even know what they, and then they slowly start forgetting what they even like or know. That's why just overthinking is just such a big thing in every human, like ever. So yeah.
And it doesn't hold any value to your life by overthinking it. So how do you deal with overthinking? Well, overthinking is not necessarily a knowledge problem. You don't you don't really think your way out of it or read more about overthinking or research more, watch more videos about it. In my experience, that would just make me overthink more.
Exactly. I was waiting for him to say that. That's actually, that makes it worse. And no, this isn't like some corny shit about how like smarter people are like fucking depressed monsters, but it's kind of just like, it's kind of just like the more you do that, the more you have to think, and the more you have to think, the more you're gonna overthink. So it's kind of just like, think about how you are now. Look at yourself now, and then be like, why am I overthinking so hard about something I can't control? About this, about that, and just let your thoughts go for a minute, and just go do something, bro, and then get your life moving, and just realize that it's like not, what you're thinking is most likely not that serious. And it's also have a little bit of like pattern recognition and realize that you've done this so many times that it ends up being fine, but your body just responds to it, and you're like, and then it's just a cycle over and over and over again, you know?
And give me more to think
That happens to everyone though, so don't worry.
about. For me, what stops overthinking is taking action. For example, with the YouTube stuff, instead of overthinking the video, I'll just hit record and speak my thoughts out loud while playing Minecraft and get it over with. I'd much rather upload a video that doesn't do that good versus a video that never gets uploaded because I was busy living in my mind and overthinking every single aspect of the video.
So you can be an overthinker and still achieve these things through actions, because okay, when he said you can't overthink and be present in the moment at the same time is usually correct. He's pretty much right, completely. But what he's like trying to say is that you can overthink and then stop, force yourself to stop overthinking. Just take that act, no matter what it is. You just have to sometimes you have to force yourself to just take the action, go forward, because you're smart enough to know what you're supposed to do, but you're also too worried about the endless possibilities. So just stop yourself, force yourself to do it if you have to, and then you can go back to overthinking and just watch what happens. I mean, why does it matter anyways? Like,
You just need to build some sort of momentum and do a small thing, right? And set up the shot or whatever it is that you want to do. You don't need to go all the way with something. I know there's a saying, go big or go home, but you just need to take a small action that will help you stop
bro, I feel like I'm like pre-watching this. I literally just, I'm saying what he's saying right before it. Like, bro, I actually love this guy. I'm already
overthinking.
subscribed to
For
him.
example, if you're
Yeah.
overthinking going to the gym, you think people are going to judge you, going to the gym for 5 minutes, and I can almost guarantee you those thoughts about what
Yeah, I
people
love this
think of
guy.
you will go away because you will end up enjoying the gym. You know?
This is like, I like relate to this guy a lot. I feel like he like talks like I kind of talk. Like he has even more to say on his mind, but he doesn't really know how to explain it. But he still got some analogies and all that shit when he starts talking.
And like Isaac Newton said, an object in motion stays in motion. The first action is the smallest but the hardest part. And once you actually go through with it, with whatever it may be, if you're again overthinking talking to that one girl, just send her a text at first. Say hey, right? That's the first step. That's the hardest part. That's probably you're overthinking. Well, what if she thinks I'm weird? What if she screenshots it, sends it to the private GC? Low-key a valid thing to be overthinking. But what are the chances if she doesn't? You know? So sending that text right there is the first step into something bigger. And a lot of times once you take that first step, everything becomes much, much, much easier and the overthinking will begin to fade. That's at least in my experience. Taking small action and steps towards something will help you overthink way less about it. And here's what I want you to take away from this video. What you have is your presence currently here in the moment. And your full attention is what's in front of you right now. And when you overthink, it steals that attention from whatever is in front of you, right? When you're
Yeah, like he's saying, I think what he's like trying to say is you get to choose whatever you see. You get to choose, like, what you see, bro. Like you get to choose, how you make it out of like every situation. Like whatever you're doing, like let's say you're in the classroom and then like you're sleeping or you're about to go to sleep and you just hear hella people start laughing. You wake up and you think they're all laughing at you, but then when you wake up, they all look over at you. They weren't laughing at you, and they realize, oh, he was asleep, and we just woke him up. And then they start laughing at you, and you think everyone's just making fun of you. But it's like, bro, like you don't always have to look at everything that way. You don't always have to assume the worst out of every situation and bring yourself down. The best thing to do in that situation, genuinely, listen, like take this out. The best thing to do is just not fucking care, bro. Like just make a decision and move on with your life. Don't care.
standing there, just overthinking something, not doing anything about it, the moment passes by, and it doesn't work out the way that you want it to. But while you're standing there, running through every single possible outcome, there's someone else out there already doing the thing that you're overthinking about, or like they're getting ahead of you by taking the action rather than just overthinking something. They're very likely not smarter than you. They're likely not more talented than you.
Yes, I've said this before, bro. Like the smart man who doesn't take any action and overthinks and doesn't do anything will get less than the stupid dude who literally just moves and tries his best in everything he does because he doesn't know what else to do. He just tries. That's it.
So what's the difference? The difference is that they just started and took a small step and a small action towards doing something, which led them to not overthink. So whatever it is you've been overthinking, realize that it is not that deep. It is most likely not that deep. If it's not going to affect you in a month's time, a year's time, then don't overthink it, especially if it's out of your control. And if it's something that you can control, the best step is to just take the first step. The best step is to take the first step. The best action is to just take action. That's the best thing you can do about overthinking, because like I said earlier, when you take the first small step, everything else changes and works out in a way. So what I want to leave you with is that if you can't do anything physically, there's no point or value in overthinking it. But if you can do something about it, the best course of action is to just take the first step, as that first step will lead into everything else working out and the overthinking fading away.
What a fucking video, bro. Oh my god. I actually love this guy.